Hello and welcome to another weekly edition of the Greatest Wedding Show by Crown DJs, where I take deep dives into anything and everything in the wedding industry, specifically relating to Lincoln, Nebraska, especially Nebraska. If you're new to the show, then all I ask is that everyone who watches this drops their wedding date or any details, but specifically start with your wedding date and drop those in the comments, and feel free to ask any questions whatsoever that you may have about the wedding planning process. And I'll bring on an expert, someone in the wedding industry other than a DJ, to answer those questions for you. My name's Derrick, I'm with Crown DJs. I'm the proud owner where we provide elite wedding entertainment for our clients in Lincoln, Omaha, and the surrounding areas. And if you're looking for a DJ to take your wedding to the next level, then all I ask is go to crowndjs.com and just fill out the form, and we'll set up a meeting. I'll check your date immediately, and then we'll go over pricing. I do this show every Monday at 4 p.m. And to start things off, I like to start by talking about my past events. From the past weekend. This past weekend, Crown DJs had 3 weddings. Wedding receptions, anyway. They weren't ceremonies, but I was lucky enough to be able to DJ at 2 of those. And then, so 2 were on Friday. 1 was on Saturday. So real quick shout out to KJ and Megan, who got married, they technically got married last year. I think it was June 19th, and they had to have or was it June 12th? Anyway, I did their ceremony a year ago, and because of COVID, they didn't do their reception. They were like a week early. And then they had their wedding reception, the big party, a year later, last weekend on July 9th. So shout out to KJ and Megan getting it done at Creekside Event Barn in Roca. Georgie was the DJ for that one, and I heard he did a fantastic job, and I'm excited to see what he does and seeing him grow with the company. Next, then, the weddings I did was Mike and Emily at Havelock Social Hall in North Lincoln. And then also on Saturday, I went to the Steinhardt Lodge, which is a fantastic venue. We'll show you the inside look of it here in just a minute. But Steinhardt Lodge in Nebraska City for the reception for Daniel and Kimberly. All of them were awesome weddings. But the one I want to show you a clip of happened on Saturday. So let's just jump into that. Oh, I was supposed to show you my map. So the bottom left-hand corner was Creekside Event Barn in Roca, then Havelock Social Hall in North Lincoln, and then Steinhardt Lodge in Nebraska City. But during the first dance, we lit up the room with our cold sparklers, and I just want to show you guys as an example of this. So I had Georgie staged in the back to kind of give you that wedding guest appeal. During the first dance, they're going, you can see the photographer just centered there, ruining my shot completely. But for those of you who are on the fence when it comes to adding these to your wedding, maybe seeing them in action from the guest point of view might help. Now, we use them for both their grand entrance and their last 40 seconds of their first dance, and this is the video of their first dance. And I honestly haven't even watched the video yet, but I'm looking at it right here. When you guys see me looking down, I'm either checking notes or I'm watching the footage that you're looking at. And just look at them. I'm hoping these pictures turn out amazing. But the whole hall was awesome. You can see me right there in the corner of the picture giving them a shout out. I hope you can hear me talking right now. I don't think the audio of the video is playing, but I wanted to hit our frequently asked questions when it comes to the cold sparklers, because this could help you decide if you want to add them or not. So first of all, they're indoor safe with no fog or smoke. They're not actually fireworks. They just call them sparklers because that's what they look like, but they're really not a spark. It's just a powder that heats up, and as soon as it cools down, it creates a spark effect. I actually have videos of me putting my hand in it on the 4th of July. And if they were really dangerous, then would I be able to put my hand in it? The answer, of course, is no. So just watch this video real quick. You see a girl right there. That's my buddy's daughter. But yeah, on 4th of July, we like to take these out every year and just add it to the finale. You know, you got fireworks shooting off up top, and then we got the cold sparklers going off on the bottom, and we sell them for like 2 to 3 minute increments, depending on how you want to use them. If you want to use them for 30 seconds, I'll give you a special quote for that as well. But couples like to use these for the grand entrance, or in this case, the first dance. They actually used it for both. They used it for the grand entrance and the first dance. And then also you could use it for an epic send-off. You know, I'm trying to see. Oh, I'm cut off. But yeah, send-offs, grand entrances, first dances seem to work. You know, if you want to just stage a photo, you can do that as well. But if you're getting married in the Lincoln, Omaha, or surrounding areas, and you're interested in having cold sparklers at your wedding, just go to crowndjs.com, fill out the form. You don't even have to have us as your wedding DJ, because if we're booked, or if you booked someone else and we have our cold sparklers available, we can still have them bring them to your wedding. Okay, I have staff that can bring them to your wedding. All you got to do is hit us up. You can't have them at your wedding if you don't contact us. That's the thing. Okay. And before I forget, let's just get into this thing. Well, where did that go? Well, give me 1 second while I edit this, because we're supposed to have a graphic, and it's gone. And that's just the joys of doing a live show, my friends. It's completely gone. Okay. Here we go. So, I'm gonna move me around. You guys are like, what an amateur is this? So, before I forget, I want to tell you guys about an upcoming bridal show that I'm helping my friends at the Talon Room put on, which will be the Summer Wedding Gala happening in downtown Lincoln at the Talon Room, 12th and P Street, on Sunday, August 1st, from noon to 12. Details for this event are still a little bit up in air as we're getting things figured out, because, you know, putting together these hosted events while planning that, and then also working July is literally my busiest month right now, and by doing this, you know, a lot is falling by the wayside. But we want to invite anyone who's newly engaged. Then I hope you guys can join us. But as far as details go, they're still getting sorted out as far as food and drinks. But the vendors we know of right now should be Talon Room, McCoy Photography, Crown DJs, obviously, Video Images, so videographer, and Copper Kettle, to name a few. If you're a vendor and you're interested in wanting to come, and I didn't list off someone from your trade, because we want to keep it trade exclusive, so no double dipping on photographers or videographers or DJs or photo booths, whatever, you know, venues. But if you are interested, just hit me up and we'll get you guys in. On today's show, I'm going to talk about, we only got 2 topics today, so I'm hoping this goes a lot faster. Last week I was expecting to go a lot faster, and guess what happened? It didn't. Today's topics is why you should hire your vendors in teams instead of just going one by one. And then also, I'm going to talk about random strangers coming up to me and asking for the microphone at some point during your wedding. Are we ready? I think we are. Oh, there's the clip I was looking for. So go to the summer wedding gala. Go to that. I'm trying not to get in between these two while they're kissing. It's weird, but let's talk about hiring your vendors in teams, okay? This could come off as a little diva for me, but, I'm not a diva. I'm just looking out for the client, okay? And I just am looking out to make your wedding awesome. That's all this is about. Anytime I meet someone that works in the wedding industry that I really like, I usually reach out to them a few days or months, few days or weeks after I've worked with them and ask if they'd be interested in working with me again. And usually the answer is yes, if they're mutual on that feeling, because usually it's not just me thinking that it was a good team. They might have thought that as well. But I've been doing this a very long time, and there are some vendors that I prefer over others, as is there's probably DJs that other vendors prefer over me. It's what it is, okay? Which is why I offer a preferred vendors list to all of my clients, or to everyone who contacts me. I send you my preferred vendors list. And then I also have a very secret, this isn't something I share with anybody, but I have a secret vendors do not work with list too. So, and the only reason why I keep that list is because there are some vendors out there who are detrimental to what I'm trying to accomplish as a wedding DJ. And just so I'm clear about that, everything that I'm trying to accomplish as the wedding DJ is based solely on previous conversations that I've had with the client. Okay. And just so that I'm clear about that, it's based on nothing else. It has nothing to do with my own personal bias. It's solely based off of what our conversations are, what I have down on paper, and that's it. For example, sometimes I see photographers come along and they only care about their own work. And they end up getting in the way of my clients having a good time until they leave. Then they finally thank God they're gone, So there's this photographer that I've worked with numerous times where she'll randomly sneak the bride and groom away to go take sunset photos. And guess what happens next? Okay, I got the dance floor hopping. It's going crazy. And then suddenly the bride and groom just disappear. I don't even see them leave. And they're gone for 30 to 45 minutes. Where are we going? We still have things to do. And by the time they get back, the party's dying. It's in need of the guest of honor. Okay. So if you leave your own reception for 45 minutes, what do you think is going to happen? Don't do that. And don't pick a photographer that will make you do that, because no matter what, it's going to cause issues with the party. I'm not going to call out this photographer by name in particular, because it's not just one person. It's just one comes to mind. But there's actually all kinds of photographers who do this. So this must be just like a thing that's discussed in the interlinkings of the photographer industry when it comes to weddings, because some reason photographers just think it's okay to pull the bride and groom away for 30 to 45 minutes to do sunset photos. It's not. So every time that I book a wedding, I typically ask the bride and groom which vendors they've already booked and which ones they're still considering. That way, one, I know if I'm going to clash with them, if they're going to clash with the mission that I have as your wedding DJ. And then also, most of us who work in the industry, in the wedding industry, carry a list. And that's a list of which vendors we prefer to work with. I do. And it's not just the ones that we work well with, but it's the ones that we can communicate with on a higher level. Sometimes we don't even have to talk, but we know what we're saying to each other. And then I just skipped a note, so I'm going to just read this off my list. I apologize if you guys can hear my dog snoring right now, but every time I book a wedding, I typically ask the bride and groom which vendors they've already picked so that I know if they're going to clash with what I'm trying to accomplish, which is helping you throw an epic wedding, an epic effing wedding. And then another example, I can't believe this situation, right? A couple of weeks ago, I was in Columbus, okay, for a wedding, and apparently the dance floor was a bit slippery. I didn't notice. The photographer, first conversation with them, the photographer comes up to me and starts speaking at me harshly, says, "The dance floor needs to be swept." So no cordial greeting, no professional tone, just an abrupt order, like it's my job to maintain the cleanliness of this venue. And, that just tells me that this photographer is an amateur for a few reasons. First of all, anyone working in the wedding industry should know that the DJ is associated as a DJ, and that's it. They aren't associated with the venue, okay? They're employed by a totally different company, and the venue is entirely separate. Second, I've worked with photographers in the past, or any vendor in general, who will introduce themselves, shake your hand, and ask for a timeline of the day, which I always have a couple copies ready for any vendor, just in case, they're curious and we want to get on the same page. Third, she should see that as the wedding DJ, I got a lot of things going on. And usually the first time I see the photographer, this is the moment when we're going to get going and we need to start the grand entrance, which is where we're going to introduce the entire wedding party. So by coming up to me and approaching me by saying that the floor needs to be swept, am I expected to just drop everything and go grab a dustpan and sweep up the dance floor? The dance floor was massive. Like, I'm going to guess it was like 25 by 25 feet. It was huge, okay? Like 5,000 square feet, and it doesn't matter. But I'm curious what she expected to get for a response in that moment. I can't even remember what I said because I was just so shocked with her tone. It wasn't even about what she said. It was about the tone. Did she want me to go on the PA system and, call out the venue for having a slippery floor? Did she expect me to delay the grand entrance and go grab a dustpan and a broom and just do it myself? Neither of those things are going to happen. So what was the point of that comment? I don't understand. And if she ends up seeing this video, maybe you can clarify it by commenting what your approach was with that, because it was entirely unprofessional. So in other words, I'll be finding out this photographer's name and putting them on my do not hire list, because the venue and the videographers also, I didn't even bring it up. The venue and the videographers came to me to complain about this photographer as well. And you do not want to hire a photographer or any vendor that is making the job harder on your other vendors. And that's why I always push my clients to check out my preferred list, because that kind of hostility will affect everything when it comes to your wedding day. Plus, if they're hostile with one vendor on one wedding day, who's to say they're not like that at every single wedding that they work at? It's just, they're an a-hole. Sorry. And if you see this and I'm talking about you, I'm not calling you out by name, but don't be an a-hole. So However, there will always be instances where you can't book 100% to the preferred vendors list. So I always say, do your research and ask other vendors what they think about them. What's their honest opinion? And don't just ask what their work is like, because you can see that on full display when you do your research. Whether it's a caterer, decorator, photographer, videographer, or even DJ, what I want you to do is ask those vendors, one, have they heard of them or have they worked with them? And then let's say, did this caterer get the food served quickly? Did they show up on time? Did the cake maker have the cake fall apart before the cake cutting? Because I've seen that happen. I've seen the cake go toppling over. Look up videos on YouTube. It happens a lot because some of these cake decorators drop off the cake. They don't know if it stayed together. They just hope, they just know if it did, if you email them. But I'm going to be honest, there's so much happening on their wedding day that they don't even think to follow up with the cake person. Did the photographer get in the way of the videographer's shots? This is something I hear videographers complain about all the time. Those are things that you want to know. So hire vendors and teams, avoid the drama, because believe it or not, there is drama in the wedding industry. Next topic. It seems to be happening more and more at weddings. But there used to be a time when the only people speaking into the microphone, or the only people that expected to be speaking in the microphone, were the people who I know about. And then suddenly everybody thinks they're an Instagram celebrity. I got 17 followers. I got 10 people watching my YouTube channel, and suddenly I'm just a big shot. I deserve to talk at your wedding. That's not true at all. But, just because you're a big shot or you have a big following on Instagram, or who knows, maybe you work for the local TV channel and you say the weather every once in a while, that doesn't mean people want to hear you talk, okay? So at a wedding recently, I'd been approached by a guy that was asking me to give him the mic so he could say something about a little contest we were doing. It was called the Cake in the Face. So you got 2 jars and you take money, and if you want to see the bride get caked in the face, then you put money in the bride's jar. And if you want to see the groom get cake in the face when they do the cake cutting, you put money in his jar. Long story short, okay, this guy approaches me and says, I want to say a little something about the contest we're doing. So I said, I don't have you listed anywhere as making this announcement, so I'm sorry, but I can't just give you the microphone. And, he got upset. So I stuck with my guns. He told me he was the weatherman at a local news channel. I won't say it by name, but suddenly I recognized who he was, and I still wanted to make it clear, like, I don't care if you're the president of the United States. If the bride didn't say you can talk, then you're not going to talk. I'm in charge. It's my equipment, and I'm there representing the bride and groom. She never even told me that her brother worked for the news channel, so it is what it is. So again, I asked him to, politely leave the DJ booth. I'm not giving him the microphone. I can say whatever he wants me to say, if it's in good taste. But after several times of going back and forth, he kept trying to tell me, like, I'm on TV, blah, blah, blah. And, I'll be able to, whatever. I told him that I don't come up to his job and, just try to randomly hop on air over some nonsense. So why should I let him? Meanwhile, I'm trying to get the wedding rolling. I'm trying to dismiss tables. I'm trying to keep the wedding party informed. This guy's distracted me. It's just hard to keep the party in order, when you're trying to get a guy just to not steal your microphone. So, anyway. So he doesn't get his chance to make that announcement. Then we hop into toasts, right? We have the best man speak, then the maid of honor. And as the microphone's being handed to the bride and groom, I see him like waving at me. Like he's trying to get my attention, right? He's like, and I'm just like looking at them. I'm trying to be like, well, you're not on the list. You weren't told. You didn't tell me. They didn't tell me that you could speak. So I'm not just going to like be like, oh, by the way, the bride's brother, who I don't know his name, is going to speak. Instead, he's just waving. He's making a scene without the microphone already. He looks like he's trying to ruin their wedding, right? And meanwhile, I'm looking at the bride, and she's like non-verbally trying to tell him to sit down. Like, sit down. We're not letting you speak. And that just reaffirmed to me that I shouldn't let him speak on the PA system earlier. So for that reason, I felt proud that I did my job correctly, because who knows what he's like over the mic, I just want to put this out there because it's an important discussion, whether it's me or someone else as your wedding DJ. You'll need to go over the etiquette that will be used over the microphone. Okay. It's bad taste just to let anyone talk on the mic and to have it handed around from guest to guest, because that can annoy the hell out of everybody in the room. And eventually it'll just make everybody want to leave. So a professional will know exactly who will be speaking and what to say and how to introduce people in different moments. And it doesn't matter if someone is a TV personality. This guy clearly was trying to make it more about himself than it was about the bride and groom. He told me, he's like, if I want to say over the microphone that everybody that donates to get cake in my sister's face will get a shout out during my weather segment. And I'm like, get out of here. It's funny, but not that funny. So he was just trying to use his own platform to get like, oh, wow, we got a TV personality in here. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to let someone steal the spotlight from the bride and groom just to get recognized. And he was trying to multiple times. I could go on and on, but so when you meet with your wedding DJ, whether it's me or someone else, you'll want to go over the important details, to discuss who you do and maybe even who you do not want speaking in the microphone, whether it's during the greeting or the toast or the prayer or whatever. Or even whether it's singing karaoke at the end of the night because they know every word to some song by Eminem. Bad microphone usage can ruin a wedding, and I'm determined not to let that happen at your wedding. So, in conclusion, that's all I got for the show today. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. I'm trying out the new green screen. Got a background. It's literally a green screen right behind me, not a sunset, but anyway, we're going to wrap this show up. I appreciate everybody who watches this. We're still tweaking it out before I start sending it out to clients and potential clients to, I'm working on my scripts. I'm trying to angle the scripts better so I can look at the camera more. But for right now, I just got to look down. It's more of a radio show or podcast on YouTube than anything. But anyway, my name's Derrick Hayden. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Crown DJs, we provide elite wedding entertainment for weddings in Lincoln, Omaha, and the surrounding areas. And if you're looking for a wedding DJ to take your wedding to the next level, all you got to do is go to crowndjs.com, fill out the little form, and we'll take care of you from there. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope to see you at an upcoming